Hi again, everyone. A lot is obviously going on with telehealth these days. Is it going to be covered? Is it not going to be covered? Should it be covered? Should it not be covered? And while there's obviously no definitive answer that I can provide right now, I definitely want to add to this conversation, tell you all where my head is at and what I see from the vantage point that we have. Uh, Let me get something very quickly out of the way though. Telehealth isn't as new as most of us would want to think. I mean, COVID isn't or wasn't the first time that telehealth became a thing. Telehealth has been around in some form or fashion uh, for more than a few decades now. Granted, it was very, very restrictive in nature, and the patient had to be in a rural place. The patient had to be in a medical facility to be able to still do telehealth, and they could only do it for certain services, for a certain type of providers, using two-way audio video communication. Audio only wasn't just allowed. So it was there for a long time, but then when COVID hit and when it was declared a public health emergency, a lot of relaxations were brought in to be able to address the situation. The geographical restrictions of patient having to live in a rural setting, out the door. The patient having to be in the medical facility at the moment, out the door. Uh, the patient needed to have an audio video and not just audio, out the door. It was also expanded to cover more kinds of providers, more kinds of services. So you could still do technically an office visit with an ENT provider via telehealth, which was not possible before. And the other thing that COVID brought along with it was payment parity between telehealth services and in person visits, which was great while it lasted. But then, when the public health emergency was terminated, these restrictions or these liberations have been in limbo. There's an ongoing conversation where all of these should be stopped. The decision as of right now is up in the air. As of right now, all of these relaxations exist through the end of the year until Congress can make some changes or decide one way or the other during the course of this year. They're all set to be termed at the end of this year. Uh, what are some of the arguments being made against expanded use of telehealth? One is obviously the potential for abuse and fraud, uh, citing limited governance over telehealth services. There's also an argument to be made about clinical effectiveness for more and more patients and providers choosing to be seen via telehealth. There's also a conversation about patient provider relationship, which used to be an in person, human oriented thing before, switching more and more to digital and telehealth. It's got to have some sort of impact over an extended period of time. There's also an argument to be made about how equitable this is in terms of access to technology and infrastructure. And then, with more and more providers choosing to go the digital way, if they had an option, is it restrictive towards a portion of the population? And last but definitely not the least, there's privacy. There are privacy concerns. The patient could technically choose to be sitting at a cafe on their speakerphone while seeing their provider, and that's not something that we want to happen. To sum it all up, if you're a healthcare provider or practice that does engage in telehealth right now, here are the things that you should do, in my opinion. Sit tight but stay informed. The government, Congress, they've got to make a decision. We will know better as time passes. However, while it lasts, And this isn't even limited to telehealth. You've got to make sure that you're making every single dollar that you can out of telehealth services amongst other services. Telehealth obviously comes with its own billing nuances and coverage nuances, and you need to make sure that your RCM, your revenue cycle teams and departments are optimized for you to make every dollar that you can out of all your services, including your telehealth services. There's a longer form content that's going to come out this week. Please see if that can leave you with additional inputs on how we've made it work for our telehealth practices and providers. And I'll see you all in the next one.